Using Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 400 for home office computer is possible, and I will show you a few tricks about how to connect to your office network, how you can backup, how to prepare everything for conference calls and meetings, and how to install the needed office tools. Make sure that you watch the entire video till the end, as there will be a lot of hints that you can incorporate absolutely for free. Now let's start this! What's up, KPeyanski is here. For good or for bad, working or learning from home these days is becoming the new norm. To work from home you need a reliable computer and optionally remote network connection to your office space. If you are tight on a budget or space or both, you can get one of the latest computers from Raspberry organization, either Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 400. They are both pretty identical, except that the Raspberry Pi is having slightly faster CPU and it is coming in a form of a good-looking white keyboard. This video will show you several ways to connect to your office network, setting a webcam and a microphone for meetings, and installing mail and office programs. I will use a Raspberry Pi 400 during this video, but everything you see here is exactly the same for Raspberry Pi 4 without any modifications. You can even try that on Raspberry Pi 3. To complete your home office setup along with the Raspberry, you need a monitor, mouse, SD card or SSD, and a USB webcam. And if you're going to use a Raspberry Pi 4 for your home office computer, you also need a keyboard. Of course, you need an operating system, and I cannot recommend more the Raspberry Pi OS for this task, as it is best optimized for Raspberry Pi devices. If you don't know how to install it, don't worry, there is an app for that. Actually, it's not an app, but a video tutorial of mine where I show everything. Just watch the video, follow the instructions, and then come back here. Okay, we have a Raspberry Pi OS installed and we are ready to start communicating with our colleagues, teachers or schoolmates. Let's connect an USB webcam so we will be ready for any video calls and meetings, no matter are they coming from Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, Skype or something other. The video camera that I'm using is a Full HD XIAOMI with built-in mic. The camera and the mic worked with the Raspberry Pi right away, and I don't have to do anything else than just connect it. I will add a link in the video description if you want to buy the same webcam. Be careful here, there is a chance that some cameras may not work with Raspberry Pi and under Linux OS as a whole. I first tried with one very old Logitech webcam, but it was not detected at all. Anyway, I did some tests with Zoom, Microsoft Teams and Google Meet, and they all work perfectly on the Raspberry Pi with the embedded browser. Let's see that! I can open Google Meet and start a new meeting. Yes, the camera is working and it's pretty nice actually. You can start a Zoom meeting with video on. It is working! The USB camera is working and we are half ready with our Raspberry Pi based home office setup. Let's see what options do we have to connect our Raspberry Pi to any remote network. I will just say AnyDesk and ZeroTier VPN. Then I'll show you these things. To better demonstrate you the things that I'm about to show you, I will use a VNC protocol and VNC viewer software to connect to my Raspberry Pi. That way I can record my screen and I can show you everything. I'll open the default browser in my Raspberry Pi and I'll go to anydesk.com. This software is free for personal use. If you are using it within an organization, you have to pay, but for personal use it is free. I'll go to Downloads, Raspberry Pi section, download now the package. I'll close that, I'll keep the file, it is downloaded and I'll just click on it. Do you want to install this file? Install. I have to type my Raspberry Pi password. As you can see, the AnyDesk icon is now located in the taskbar, but unfortunately nothing happens. At the time of shooting this video, I think there is some bug or something, but AnyDesk is not working. Anyhow, the idea is the following. You install the client on the remote computer and on your Raspberry Pi, and then you can set an unattended access using an ID and a password. Then you can connect to the remote computer using the AnyDesk client with this ID and password. That's it, pretty easy. It's something like VNC, TeamViewer, LogMeIn and all other kind of such software, but it's free. Unfortunately, I cannot demonstrate you right now. For the zero-tier VPN, I have a whole video tutorial that you can watch and implement on your Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 400. Go and check it if you are interested. At this point, you are more than 90% ready with your home office using a Raspberry Pi. Stick around, as later in the video I will show you how you can backup, so you don't have to do everything again if something bad happens. For now, we will continue with the available mail clients and software for editing Word, Excel and PowerPoint documents. So we are going straight to the mail clients. To demonstrate you the mail clients, I will use the terminal and I will type the following command: sudo apt update. This will update the Raspbian repositories and we will get the latest version of the programs. I will start with the close mail client. To install it, I will type sudo apt install close mail. Then I'll hit Y to install the mail client and I'll just wait for the installation to finish. Everything is installed, then I can try to find it in the Raspberry Pi menu. Here it is, close mail, setup wizard, forward. You can set a name, organization and your mail address, of course. And here are the supported protocols: POP3, IMAP and local mbox. So using this close mail, you can connect to any POP3 and IMAP, including Gmail. Let's see the Thundermail. I will use the same command, but I will only change the Thunderbird here. Yes again. Thunderbird installation is finished and I'll go to Start menu again, Internet, Thunderbird. Thunderbird is from the Mozilla family. Again, you can set a name, email and password, and it will try to auto-connect to your server. Of course, you can configure it manually, and choosing this, you can select also IMAP and POP3 protocol as well as SMTP servers right here. Then you can test the connection and you're ready. You have a mail on your Raspberry Pi. One of the best and free office suites that you can use on a Raspberry Pi OS is called LibreOffice, and it is compatible with Microsoft Office. The next thing that I want to show you is the Office suite. I'll change the command to sudo apt install LibreOffice and I'll hit enter. The Office suite is relatively big, over 600 megabytes. I'll just type yes and I'll wait for the installation to finish. LibreOffice installation is finished and I can check the start menu and I have a brand new section called Office and I have the following tools. If you hold your mouse on top of it, you can check for what are they. LibreOffice Calc is the Excel alternative. LibreOffice Draw is to create and edit drawings. Impress is the PowerPoint alternative, I think. Math, create and edit formulas using Math. And LibreOffice Writer is the Word alternative. You can open Microsoft Office documents and edit the same way or almost the same way using this LibreOffice Office suite. By default, Raspberry Pi 4 and Raspberry Pi 400 are using a SD card to boot the Raspberry Pi OS. You can also use a SSD instead, And this is how you can do it. But what if your SD card or SSD got corrupt? I will show you a few best practices that you can follow to easily restore your Raspberry Pi home office setup in a matter of minutes. Always store your important documents on external drive. The best option will be a NAS drive like the Amber Plus or any cloud storage like OneDrive or Google Drive. That way, if something happens with your boot drive, you will not lose your work, and you will just have to reinstall the Raspberry Pi OS in the worst case. If you are using SD card, you better clone your SD card regularly on external media. You can use the embedded in the Raspberry Pi OS tool called SD Card Copier. Just plug a spare SD card in your Raspberry Pi and start the tool. Let me know which is your favorite home office software in the comment section below. It will become very useful discussion if more people share such info. I really hope that you find this information useful and you now know how to use a Raspberry Pi 4 or Raspberry Pi 400 as home office computer, how to connect to your office network, how to set up your webcam, mail client and office suite. As always, any sort of engagement on this channel does really help a lot with the YouTube algorithm. So you make sure that you hit the subscribe, like and bell buttons if you enjoyed this video. Also, feel free to add me on Twitter by searching for this username. I'm trying to post there frequently. You can find me on my Discord server as well. Stay safe and don't forget, home smart but not hard. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video.